Hey, I got another question for you from our viewers.
From YouTube world?
Yes, these guys are here.
All right, what do you got?
All right, they want to know what you would do if somebody has a knife and is attacking you with the knife.
Oh, that's easy.
No pistols.
No guns?
No guns. It's just they're attacking you. I don't think you have a gun.
Okay, that's a piece of cake. Ready to go.
No knives. No blades. You don't get a blade. They get a blade.
No blades?
No blades. No.
Okay, no problem.
No.
Can't do that?
No.
I got a few other things here. I have a spoon.
You're in that damn spoon. No spoons.
Telling you. Coach David just gave me this.
No.
Nothing?
Nothing. I'm telling you, you are completely unarmed in this situation.
Who would be unarmed? I mean, what kind of person would not arm themselves?
I mean, sometimes people walk around unarmed. I mean, maybe they work in a school, or maybe they're wearing gi pants and they're on the mats from training. You know, like, I'm not armed right now. You're the only defensive tool I brought with me tonight.
That's nice. That's nice. You're really backing me into a corner here. Okay.
So yeah, you're getting attacked with a knife and you ain't got shit on you.
All right, I can work with that. I can do that.
What's up, Coach?
Jim just asked me to do the craziest damn thing.
What's that?
I'm supposed to make a video
Yeah?
dealing with a guy with a knife.
Okay.
But I'm not allowed to have anything.
Nothing?
Like
Shoot him.
That's what I said. Fuck.
Okay. Well, get the
No
knife.
guns. No guns. You're not allowed
No
to
gun.
shoot him.
Knife?
I can't stab him with a knife. Not allowed to have a knife.
Okay. Flashlight?
No, went through the list. I mean, no kidding. What have you got on you right now? See?
We can't have this. That.
Oh, that's nice.
This. Can't have a blade. Can't have a little blade then. Big blade.
I mean, who the hell would be unarmed? Seriously, though.
I got it. Chancleta.
One of the most deadly weapons on the planet. All right, so one of the first things to take a look at is your ability to make space and get away from the weapon system. And we're assuming, for now, you've got the ability to do so. So that's going to come down to having good footwork and the ability to move your body well. Because it's pretty obvious, the more space that I can have between me and the person with the weapon system, the better off I'm going to be. All right, so making space. Obviously, one of the first things I've got to do is start having the ability to move. As I'm moving, I do same thing that I want to do when I am inside or close to critical distances, have my hands up, regardless of where the thread is. Because I'm going to need to have these things online to pick up the blade if they are able to get close enough to me. So with that in consideration, I need to have the ability or footwork to change directions and move quickly in different directions depending on what the threat does. So as he's moving, I'd say one of the key elements in movement is not stopping, not pausing when you think you have enough range away from the threat. So if I can move away and I make enough range, I've got to keep moving the whole time. Even if I make enough space away from them that I feel comfortable, let's say I make enough space away and I pause. Don't pause. Keep moving. Even if it's going to be in a circular motion, or if I have the option to make space, Don't drop an anchor. Once you've got movement started, keep it moving. Well, we've always said the first 3 rules of knife fighting is run, run, run. That's the first 3 rules. It doesn't mean necessarily turn around and run from the threat.
Right.
What we're talking about is what we're referring to. Move your butt, and don't drop anchor when you think you're safe. Keep your movement going. Maintain range, maintain movement. And as we've played these games in the academy in the past, you know, you'll have some good move, you'll get tired, you'll stop for a second, you'll think you're at a safe range, somebody has some explosive movement and they're on you. So once you start to have that play going, don't stop it until you're a considerable distance away from the threat. Okay, so the next thing is they catch up to you. Maybe you're not moving quick enough to get away from the threat, or something else is going on, like I'm with a loved one and I have to stay here, or I have to place myself between them and the potential threat. For whatever reason, I am forced into a closer range to deal with a bladed adversary. At this point, one of the things I don't want to do is stay in mid-range or boxing range. This is pretty much boxing range. I have the ability to hit him, he has the ability to hit me. And there was no boxer that was ever so great that he didn't get boxed. That's just the nature of this range. So if you take this into consideration, that's not going to be a good day for me. So I either need to be outside in long range, or I'm going to have to move in and get close enough that I can try to shut down or control that weapon system. So if I'm forced in that range, one of the first things I have the guys do is work on the ability to put a frame in play. And we talked about this in previous videos. Framing and the low tie and untie drill that we teach works in a lot of different areas. It works in gun retention, gun control. It also works in bladed weaponry. One of the reasons is because I want to do the drill enough to train for that initial response. If he fires that in, I have to have a nervous response to get that frame in play. If I straighten my arm too much, I give him straight access to the body. And one of the reasons we want a good frame is because it creates surface area that he has to try to get around, and it gives us the ability to hopefully control it long enough to get out, or control it long enough to get a double reinforced grip on that blade system. So framing can work in different ways. Obviously, this is a pretty common idea, but if he switches grips and comes in with a psycho grip, I still have to have the ability to play the same framing ideas that we're talking about. He's high or low, that initial response, I want to be able to train in. Now, we look at it as an attack first. I want to use the blade of the forearm, and I want to try to destroy what is connected to that weapon system, regardless of the angle that's coming in. So as that fires in, I'm trying to hack that weapon system. I'm trying to destroy it if I possibly can. And again, I may not stay here. When we played this in the past, if he gets close enough for that range and I can play that, and it buys me enough time to start making space, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to run unless I cannot. And sometimes there's reasons that I can't. Like we said, we may be protecting someone. If we're in a parking lot, I may have backed into a corner or into a car. So that is the next thing that we'll usually play. Now, past that, I am going into closer quarters. I want to try to pin this or get a double reinforced grip on it. So I can pin it to the body, and then I'll try to get a solid grip on that weapon system. From there, I'm going to try to break his arm off. All right, so making space. If I'm able to get close enough to Coach David, he works the same blading system that we're talking about. Now, when we're training this, a lot of times as he's doing this blade, if he's training well, his non-working hand should be attacking me in some way. So as he blades, he could either be doing like an eye jab, right? Or an upper blade. I like doing an upper blade personally. I don't know about you. Because we have some guys that will, when we've got on body armor, they will just tackle you. They will just drive into you. And sometimes this will fail on an adversary that has that much forward pressure. But if I use a blade, like what Coach David just showed, like that, it has more of the ability to handle aggressive forward pressure. And he can also use the same weapon system to attack me. One of the things you'll notice he's doing is trying to attack my eyes, whether it is with that eye jab or with the bladed weapon system, because he wants to start to eliminate the things I need to attack him, and sight is one of those things. Nice.
Give me that. Sewing machine. What do you got for that?
Okay. I'm going to try to maintain control of the same ground. That's the thing about not overextending on the tie and untie drill or the low frame. If I do overextend on one of those, and that, yeah, it's going to follow up. So I'm having to maintain my space here. And at the same time, I should be putting something in on that guy to give him something to think about or try to take his sight. And I got to move. One of the reasons that becomes a challenge is because I drop anchor and I stay here and try to deal with that.
Got another one.
The grab, right?
The grab.
Yeah, for me, I've got to take care of that first and foremost. I would drive in personally, because as we've trained before, we grab onto each other, which is where this question comes from, because I'm tired of you running or you're tired of me running. And that does the same thing as if I am trying to protect a loved one or I'm stuck in front of an obstacle and I can't run. That is one of the obstacles. If I take time to deal with this, as you have seen, it's not a good day for me. So I have to go to the next thing. I've got to contain that and control it. As much as I can until I can get that double reinforced grip and control over it at that point. And then try to deal with it from there. It's not a good day. But it's something if I am unable to get out of there. All right, so we've unfortunately lost our ability to run and get out of here. Whether he's grabbing us, I'm forced to stay here for whatever reason. And I've got to gain control of this in some way. For me, generally, if I am close enough, I'll try to frame and drive this into them. And I'll try to pin it to their body. This is usually accompanied by a headbutt or something. I'm trying to give him a lot of forward pressure in order to mess up his game at the same time. Once I've got that, I like to get a double reinforced grip on the hand, on the weapon system. There's different ways to play this. If I can get it, this is the one I like to play, because if I can convince him to open his hand, that places that weapon system in my hand. I am not going to try to disarm this in the traditional sense. I'm going to disarm it in that I'd like to rip his arm off. So once I have the grip, I'm going to pull it in close to my body, make it part of my body, and then I want to use violent rotative energies of my torso and try to hyperextend or break this arm like that. And it's not something that you can necessarily train on an arm. You can tell Coach has done this a little bit because he braced up right away. But I want to use core mechanics in different ways to try to attack that arm and destroy it if I can. I want to drop down in order to bring the head to me. If I push into him and he responds by straightening the arm, this is when I want to start to do that rotation and try to hyperextend the arm. And generally we'll play this game until I feel a loose grip or I feel the ability to make space again. And that's something that we found in training. I don't want to get tunnel vision to the point of when I stay in there with this, because we've done this several times and it'll go your way for about the first 30 seconds. They'll clear you off, and then, as you would say, you're back on the end of that sewing machine all over again, and you're having to start chasing that blade, and by that time there's probably lubricant all over it, all over my hands.
Seriously, lubricant?
Yeah.
That's what we're going with?
Okay, it's blood, and that changes the perspective on a lot of this. And we played a lot of our drills. We will use oil, baby oil, in the drills, and it changes things in the middle of it. You realize just how bad this can get. And in that instance, when you start losing control over it, I think I've seen this in drills at the school. They get so tunnel visioned in that moment that they keep chasing it while they're getting stabbed. If you have the ability to get out, you've got to get out. All right, so, we do the drills, you play the game, you find out how bad it is to be on the receiving end of this game. It goes back to our initial response. What is your everyday carry? I mean, are you bringing something with you? And we've made this point on previous videos, is originally the war arts, the arts of war, martial arts, they were built around weapon systems. And I think over the course of time, as we've commercialized more, and you start to see sources of information and knowledge in this industry that you can go and you can join and be a part of it, study for 10 years and never get told anything about using weapons. I think that is a disservice. The bad guy's going to bring a weapon system. He wants an advantage. He doesn't want to fight you. He wants you to go away. That's why he's bringing a weapon. And I think it's a fallacy to not understand that and prepare for it accordingly on our end. With that said, you should be training some type of weapon system, and you've got different ones. But for us, I like to have, some type of option for a firearm, some sort of bladed option with a good knife, some sort of blunt instrument. And we talked about this at the beginning of the video. If I didn't have a gun, maybe I dropped the knife, I would go to, a common blunt instrument that I carry, and it's the flashlight. And I like it because it's accessible. I can get to it quickly, like the other things. But that's my everyday carry. And it's not that often that I am without it. We made the comment, what about going to school? Maybe it limits my first two options, but I still have blunt instruments, like the ones Coach David was pulling out in the restroom earlier. That's a lot of good options. But you have a plan. You are preparing for being placed in this scenario in some form. And then there's also weapons of opportunity, urban weaponry. We pulled out a spoon earlier as a joke, but the reason it is a running joke in my academy and with my guys is because I teach spoon. I teach salt shaker. Anything you can get your hands on can be a weapon system. It's just your perspective has to change and realize that everything around you is a weapon. So getting caught without something, to me, is almost unimaginable. That's a unique question. And I hear it's a pretty common question, too.
Mostly, I see it a lot.
Yeah, and, like, we're joking around a little bit in the first part of the video, but that I do find it difficult not being armed. And it's because of, my perspective and how we train. I think it's a very important part. Like we said, the bad guy's going to be planning something. He doesn't want to have a fair fight. So, a lot of times we plan to have a fair fight, and we don't understand the full spectrum of violence. which is also kind of a disservice of a lot of martial arts right now, is because they don't teach you your full potential of what you're capable of. And sometimes it's not pretty, and sometimes we avoid those things due to our belief systems, but it's important to know it. And we've said this too in the past, I'd rather be a warrior in the garden.
In the garden? No.
Yeah, agreed. So, it should be part of your training. And if you don't have that training, you should find it, honestly. It's one of the reasons for me why I am a multi-martial artist. Why I study this many martial arts over the course of my life is because not all of them have the answers I'm looking for,
Well, for me, it comes down a lot to perspective. You mentioned it a second ago. Accepting that conflict is not pretty, and it's not it's a simple answer, but it's not an easy answer.
Mm-hmm.
And once you start to accept that, people are going to operate outside the bounds of fairness, and you have to meet it similarly. I've got to be prepared for that. And going out with just the expectation that I have nothing, right, I think is already limiting you in identifying a goal and moving towards it. Well, I have nothing. You got something. Even if it's these. You got something.
Yeah.
And, I've always valued my time spent training in the weapon systems, not just because on day one you gave me a stick and said, go swing it at that guy. But, it has affected how I look at every other system that I train in. When I go to jiu-jitsu class, I'm thinking, what could I have in my gi? I go, I'm not great at jiu-jitsu. I need something to cheat with.
Yep.
What does that look like? On the street, that's not cheating. That's just application.
I agree with that.
On there. So, to say outright you have nothing, I got to be dead. I got to be dead to have nothing.
I agree with that. And it's something too, is like, I don't think that a lot of educators in the industry teach the full potential of what you can face in violence.
Mm-hmm.
Nor do they teach what you're capable of. We refer to it as the principle of the full spectrum of violence. Sometimes, I'll get the opinion that I want to avoid even learning those things because of my belief system. And there's martial arts that will not teach you certain things because of the art's belief system. We talk about this often too. We call it systemization. Mm-hmm. You can be systemized by a martial art and really not even realize it. There's certain beliefs, thought patterns that they will ingrain into you that may not necessarily be true, but you will latch onto it and believe it because, well, it has to be. This is what my teacher taught me. And I've had that experience as well in my career. That took a while for me to, as we say, take a 1,000-mile view and try to look at things realistically. And, that really came from testing it out. Bringing those ideas in the academy and having you chase me around with a knife and stab me and me realize, wow, this idea didn't work. Quote unquote, running, making space worked. So that started to become part of the fundamental basics that we were playing with. Mm-hmm. All right, guys, hopefully you got something out of that. If you like the content, give us a like, a subscribe, so that when we release more videos, you'll be one of the first ones to get notified. If you'd like more information on this type of training, you can find it on our main website, sifualanbaker.com. So during this video, we mentioned the tie and untie drill. That is the drill that we start most of the students off when they're learning to do those low frames. If you're interested in getting a little more detail on that drill, you can see it on this video.
You're not bringing anything to a knife fight, just to go on.
When would I ever not be armed?
Shower.
I would have my shower knife if I were in the shower.